So it started in college. It was a group project. We had to come up with a business idea, and we were all very interested in e-waste, education, businesses that are good for the planet. And so we actually had this post-it note exercise where we had to write down all these different ideas, and then out of that came this idea of why don't we just send broken stuff to kids so that they can take it apart and learn how stuff works, learn how to repair things, and kind of get them into that whole science mindset. And then the idea really just evolved from there.
And then once we'd come up with the idea, we then found users to test with as soon as possible. So we went to our local shop, we bought a games console, we put a bit of fluff into one of the buttons, and then we asked one of our lecturers to bring her child in the next day so we could test it. So we really focused on testing the product as soon as possible. And then we went to look for opportunities like the Mayor's Entrepreneur Competition so we could get some funding and some backing so we could keep funding the business and running it.
So when we were creating the business, we had to do it as a part of a university module and had to choose one of the sustainability development goals to focus on as a starting point. And so we were really interested in figuring out how we can reduce consumption, and that's what first got us into the whole e-waste crisis. And we were looking at how there's a lot of companies at the moment tackling what we can do with e-waste at the end of its life, but actually the most impactful thing we can do is tackling it upstream before it even becomes waste in the first place. And so we came up with this idea of how can we change mindsets to stop waste becoming waste by teaching kids how to repair. And we also, as a part of our business model, were really focused on first of all reducing our own waste and looking at how we can move away from ownership models and create more circular businesses. And so a big part of our current business model is we rent our kits to schools. Kids fix the kits they get, and then once they're done, they send the kits back to us so that we can re-break them and send them off to another school, meaning that we recirculate all our kits and reduce our own waste consumption in the process.
The second problem that we're solving is the STEM skill shortage, which costs UK businesses £1.5 billion a year. And as a team of engineers, this is something we really care about. We really care about increasing how many children from all backgrounds that are picking to go into STEM, because it really matters that we have diversity of thoughts in these different fields, so we can solve the world's biggest problems like climate change with lots of different people working together. And as engineers, we got into engineering through taking apart real products when we were younger and being interested in how they work. And this is something, this real world link is something that's quite missing in school education. And that's something that I personally really struggled with, being neurodivergent, just being told this is the science, this is how it is, deal with it. I wanted to know how real things worked and how this relates to the real world and why do I need to learn this. So that's really integrated into Team Repair as well. And we found from our initial data that we've got from the schools that we're working with that we're increasing STEM confidence, the people who do our kits also are more likely to think about going into a career that's good for the planet. And then we found that all of these metrics are higher for girls as well, which is really interesting.
As part of our process, we've been measuring impacts that our kits have on children before and after with regards to repairing and attitudes towards STEM, and we found that after just one session, around 40% of children have an increased confidence in repair. This was 60% when looking at just girls, and similarly around 20% of children are more likely to go into a STEM career after just doing one of our sessions. So really positive impact data there. And we've also had some really nice case studies of students completing our kits or coming to a workshop and then saying how it had affected them. So for example, we had one girl who came to one of our games console workshops where she had to fix a broken button, and then she messaged us on Instagram the next day saying, I went home and I took my broken calculator apart and used what you taught me to fix it, which was a very nice moment for us.
The biggest challenges we had at the start was wanting to be so focused on the social impact of the business, the sustainability of the business, that we set ourselves very high, unachievable goals. And we have had support from mentors from Re London who told us that we should aim for a few things first, do that really well, and then go for the next step. So for example, when we first came up with the model, we wanted to be using gadgets that were coming from what would be waste. And this was something that we spent a lot of time on, around 3 months, just talking to manufacturers, distributors, trying to find out how we could access this waste stream. But it seemed to be pretty impossible, and it was holding back our business growth. So I think something we really learned was focusing on our priority at that point and what's important to us, and then having that as a goal for the future, but understanding where we can have the biggest impact now. Winning the Mayor's Entrepreneur competition was pivotal in us continuing this as a business after university. I think that it was really the first group of people who said to us, "You've got something here, keep going." And I think even just that, without the money as well, which was also amazing, and it allowed us to run workshops around the London boroughs throughout the summer after university. But even just having the support of someone saying, "You've got something here, here's a mentor who can work with you for the time after and put together a strategy," that was pivotal in us continuing Team Repair. Our goals for Team Repair is for us to reach as many schools and groups as possible. In the future, we'd love to see every child in the UK and around the world learning repair, the way to inspire more children from all backgrounds to go into engineering and STEM, but also to instill repair mindset into the next generation, so everyone thinks, how can I repair this, rather than I knew I'm throwing away.